Hey everybody, welcome to Commercial Construction Elevate the Industry podcast series. I'm your host, Dave Presida. I'm happy to be here today, and I want to thank you for joining us. The purpose of the podcast is to help everyone from owner to intern in commercial construction understand the industry to make the best decisions about where you want to go and how you want to get there. I'm excited today to talk about sales. And I'm going to outline what I believe to be critical steps in a successful commercial sales pursuit. Now, I want to preface this with successful can mean a lot of different things. If you're listening to this, you're probably thinking, well, we're going to win the job, right? That's success. Well, it is for sure. But sometimes you lose a job and it still can be a successful pursuit because you've done everything else right. And you set yourself up for the next job. We're going to talk about that. You're not, nor do you want to get every job that you pursue. Because if you are, you're probably pricing it wrong and doing some other things. But you want the jobs that you want. So a successful pursuit will either get you the job or it'll set you up for the next one. Now, I got to make some assumptions, and these are broad, but they're important. You need to know your brand, which means you need to know who you are, what you are to the clients, what you are to the industry. You have to stay true to that. You have to understand how you want to go to market and be consistent. Have you outlined with your management team your risk tolerance? What are you willing to risk on a job? Maybe it's excess number of men, or I don't want more than 100 guys on a job, or maybe 10 guys. Whatever, how much, material am I willing to be out? All of those things are important. Do you know what your revenue goals are? Have you shared them with your managers? Is everybody on the same page? Do you know what your net operating profit goals are? You should, because all of these things matter when you choose to pursue a job. When you pursue a job, you're making an investment of time, resources, and money. So the better bet you make, the better the company is. Big one, has ownership and senior management bought in to all of the things I just mentioned? We're going to assume that they did. And again, it's broad, but it's important. Now, the first step, you're going to get invitations to bid all the time, whether you're in a mechanical business, a painter, flooring, windows, curtain wall, drywall, acoustical ceilings, whatever it is, insulation, spray fiber, doesn't matter. The industry gets invitations to bid from the customers, especially if you've been around a while. You're going to get them. As soon as they know, as soon as the client puts you in a database, you're getting ITBs, whether you want to or not. But you got to screen them. So step one, screen the invitations to bid. And these are some of the things you're going to be looking at. Is it in line with your master plan? Again, you got that master plan. Or does it, hey, it looks good, I'm going to do it. If it's in line with your master plan, in particular your sales budget, that's great. What type of procurement method is it? If it's low bid, like a public bid, you may not even want to get involved because then there's no sales involved. If it's negotiated or best value, now we're talking. Because now, if you can demonstrate that you're different, you put yourself in a good position. Perhaps the most important thing, do you have a relationship with the client who's asking you for the bid? Now again, this might be a multi-GC bid or a budget. And we talked about those in other podcasts. They're great ways, and some people shy away from them. They're great ways to get in early and develop relationships by being professional and adding value throughout, not with one company, but with several. So there's advantages to that. Does the scope of work offer advantages to your company? I work with a company now who's great at plastering. They're great at plastering. They do a lot of other stuff, but plastering is something they do better than anybody. And every time that they see plaster in a bid, they're on it. And they should be, because it's a huge differentiator. So does the ITB match what you do? Are you good at rain screen? Okay, are you good at terrazzo? Whatever it is, if it really matches your strength, then it's another good consideration. Does the client run a good job? Do they pay their bills? Does it fit our schedule? This is a big one. If you're bidding 2 jobs that fall in the fourth quarter of the upcoming year and you get one of them, now you know you got one, and now you got 2 more ITBs that come in for the same time, you may choose not to bid them, or if you do bid them, you may choose to bid them differently. If it's a good customer, you're going to want to cover them anyway, but you might not want that job. So again, it's a consideration. Do your resources line up? Do you have estimators available? If the answer to the above questions are yes, then it's on to the next section. And I call this developing a plan to win. Not a plan to bid. A plan to bid is simple. I get the ITB, I sign an estimator, he goes through the estimate, and then we take it, put it on a proposal, send it off. Simple, right? You could be a robot and do that. I'm talking about developing a plan to win. The first step to that is to understand the job. How do you develop a strategy without understanding what the job needs? Maybe it's a schedule impact job. Maybe it's heavy on interior demising walls. Maybe you can prefab some of it. Maybe you can prefab the entire soffit area. Maybe if you're a mechanical contractor, you can do a ton of prefab too, but look at the details. Otherwise, you're just looking at a building and you're allowing your estimators to lead you in a direction you may not want to go. Spend a couple hours looking at the fine line. I'd say collaborate with a field staff member. Look at means and methods, because you're trying to determine a strategy that separates you, right? That adds value to the customer. And here's a big one, especially if you're on the business development side, which I tend to like. Once you understand the job, before you do anything else, before you assign an estimator, right? Have a discussion with a high-level manager, someone on that procurement team who has, something to say, so that you can understand their position and their strategy. Especially, obviously, if they don't have the job yet. They need you to help them get the job. If they have the job, this type of discussion will allow you to understand better where they are and what they need, for them to have a good job. I think you really got to understand, especially in the bidding process, what type of procurement it is for your client. Is it a design, build, design, assist, IPD? There's a number of them, but the more you understand about the needs of your client, the better you're going to be able to add value. Now, I think if it's a design assist job, you want to get in early. That we're seeing more and more of that. But the earlier you get in, and again, you're only going to get in early if you have something to add to the design. Maybe it changes the schedule or whatever, right? But that's an awesome thing to do. Regardless of the procurement, you're always, during the strategy stage, for sure, looking for things that you can sell, whether it be prefab assemblies, things that save time, value engineering, right? Whatever it is, look for things to sell, because now you're becoming more valuable to the client. The more you know about the job and what they need, the better you're going to be. This is basic, but man, it's true, and it doesn't happen all the time. Understand the hierarchy from whoever's sending you the ITB. It could be a project engineer to the project executive, who is actually going to have a huge say, if not the say, in who gets the job. Know all the people. Make contact with the people sometime during the process. You will build relationships that way, and the process or the pursuit allows you to do that. You want to get the last look, like we talked about in our relationship podcast. Then, if those things fit your profile, then you assign an estimator. And you assign the estimator who's got, obviously got to be overall capable of a project of that size and that intensity. If it's a small one and it's pretty simple, you don't need your senior estimator. But if it's a big one and nasty with all kinds of stuff and it really fits what you want, put your best person on it. Maybe somebody who has experience with a similar project, maybe an estimator who already has done work for the client. But again, whatever happens, I can't say this enough. Make sure your estimators are true to your brand. Think about it. Estimators, project managers, even field superintendents, they need to know how you want to be seen in the business. What is your brand? If they're not consistent with it, then it's really not your brand, is it? So we're going to take a short break. You're going to hear from one of our sponsors, ISA. And when we come back, we're going to talk about what a pre-bid review looks like.
Hi, I'm Patrick Ripple, founding partner of ISA Architectural. I've known that chap right there for well over 20 years.
And what a 20 years it's been. I'm Larry Windsor, partner, vice president of construction services. Our third partner, Mike Morehouse, can't be with us today.
We are the Mid-Atlantic's premier sales force for architectural building products and engineered architectural solutions. For over 15 years, we have been providing comprehensive design solutions to architects and designers all across this region, and high-quality economic product solutions to contractors and subcontractors too.
We bring products and people together. We specialize in the building envelope, everything from the weather barrier all the way out to different types of cladding. We fully understand the rain screen principle, and we have an interior portfolio specializing in wood and metal walls and ceilings.
If you're a developer, part of a design team, architect, or interiors, or if you're a contractor, let us help you.
Visit www.isaarchitectural.com and see how we can bring value to your project.
Elevate, 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 elevate.
Welcome back. In the initial part of the podcast, we talked about the first 3 steps in a successful commercial pursuit process. The first step, identifying the right opportunities. Once you've done that, you go to step 2, which is develop a plan to win. Not a plan to bid, but a plan to win. Once that's done, you can assign an estimator who is the best fit for the project. Step 4 is a pre-bid review. I've seen too many times where this just gets thrown out the window. Everybody's busy, but activity and progress are 2 different things. Activity is when people are busy doing stuff. Progress is when you do things that matter. This matters, especially from a business development perspective. Prior to the estimator getting involved, develop an overview of the scope. Okay? Once you understand the scope, it's almost like a handoff to the estimator. When you get a job, you hand it off to the project managers and you tell them all about it. Well, you don't need to know everything about the job, but you better know the scope, right? And it's great because once you understand the scope, get a hold of the client and say, hey, you got 15 minutes. I'd love to go over the scope with you. It's another reason, a good reason to connect with somebody at the client's office so you can better understand the job and so that they can gain more trust in you. So again, you understand it, the confidence from the client's perspective is there, and there's more dialogue. More dialogue is good. Now, once you've gone through the pre-bid, you've developed an internal scope of work, you've cleared it with the client, then you can go to step 5, which is the estimate. Now, I'm not going to spend much time on the estimate because that's a subject of another podcast. But, a standalone estimate, I would strongly urge you to use the latest estimating software. I'm not plugging anybody in particular. There's a lot of good ones out there. But buy into one that works for you, one that you can be consistent with. And if you're a bigger company, one that dumps right into your ERP, so you don't have to mess with Excel spreadsheets. But if you've assigned the right estimator and they have enough time to do a good job, right? Then it's on to step number 6, which is the bid review. Now, the bid review, and this is where you can empower your estimator. This is where they get a chance to shine. Remember, think about what they do all day. They're in their office, the door's closed, they might have, some music playing or whatever, and they're measuring, they're scaling, right? They're looking at assemblies, they're building assemblies, they're doing all kinds of stuff. They're putting together material pricing lists to go out to the vendors. They hardly ever talk to anybody. But once they get the job, and I used to be the worst at this, because I remember having an estimate, I don't want to hear about that. Yeah, I got you. I learned that it's time to let them talk. It's time to let your estimator present you with something that's important to them, something that they may have spent 2 weeks on. Do not blow it off. Let them talk. And by the way, you'll be better off, and so will they. Let them know what it is you expect. Have your pre-bid or your bid reviews the same. I used to do it this way. We used to take the exterior wall. Let's look at the building from the outside first. Let's look at all the elevations. Okay, what makes the outside wall different? What are we doing on the inside of that outside wall? Then you'll go into sections and cuts and details. Then you move into the interior if you're doing drywall or mechanical or electrical. Whatever it is you're doing, make sure it's consistent, that your estimators follow the same path. Otherwise, it will be less effective because you're going to be trying to figure out, what am I going to hear next, instead of listening to them tell you what you want to hear, right? The facts in a sequential way that makes sense. Look for issues, right? 90% of what they do is simple. It's the 10% that needs your eyes. All right. What are better means and methods? You're going to tweak productions. When they go, okay, it's going to take me this long to hang the conduit. Well, maybe you might have something to say about that. What's the man-day rate? Are you blending in, apprentices? Is it a wrap-up job? Did they make sure that they don't include insurance? All of these things are done during the bid review. So everybody in that room, and by the way, I say everybody in that room, you should invite other people. Make sure that a high-level manager is there. If you're in business development, make sure one of your VPs are there if you're not already one. Or the business owner. Make it real. Make sure that one of your field staff is in this bid review. Because they're going to look at things and say, hey, we had that on a job I did last year, and it didn't work. This is the way we did it. So instead of building it this way, change the configuration and build it this way. So the estimator makes notes, go back and makes the changes. This is really important. Plus, you get your field buy-in. I always invite others to listen in because whether they're involved in a job or not, if they have time, it's a great teaching tool because they're going to see the job from the eyes of others. They're going to hear you and other experienced people who are going through the bid review talk about it. They'll learn through the process whether they say a word or not. So now you've reviewed your bid. That's step 6. Step 7, you got to put a proposal together. So you're going to decide again, and this is a whole nother podcast, is how you devise a proposal. Proposals have to be comprehensive. And I mean it. They got to include everything. They got to be simple and easy to read. It has to be a direct reflection on your brand. We're good. Okay? The first thing we're going to do is this. The second thing we're going to do is this. The third thing we're going to do is this. Then we're going to have specific exclusions, qualifications, general exclusions, whatever it is. If they see 5 different proposals on 5 different jobs, they should look the same. They should read the same. Now, I'm a stickler for including tables. And I get this question all the time. Why are we giving them all these breakouts? Well, because they're going to ask for them anyway, number 1. And number 2, we're giving them all the breakouts, all the qualifications. We are teaching them the job. Well, why the heck would we want to do that? I'll tell you why. What if you're on a $5 million job, you're $300,000 high? But because you have developed a comprehensive proposal, your customer, your client will use that as the high bar, as the benchmark to develop their own scope reviews with your competitors. And if your competitors forgot something or they didn't look at it this way or that way, because you qualified it in your proposal, you're protecting yourself, number 1, but they're gonna call your competitors on the carpet and say, did you look at this way? Did you figure that? Well, you need to add it. So now that $300,000 is that delta is shrinking because you've done your job. Make sure it's in a form that is simple, as I said earlier, easy to read, and broken out the way they want. They might want it broken out by floor, God forbid, but they may. They might want it broken out by section or phase, right? If it's a big sprawling building, they may have 2 or 3 phases to a single floor. Whatever it is, pay attention to it. Don't blow it off. But the better proposal that you develop, the better chance you are going to have to win the job. And if not, at the very least, you're going to gain the confidence level that your client has in you is going to go up, way up. So we're going to take another quick break. And when we get back, we're going to go to step 8, which is tracking your pursuits. Hey, everybody. If you're looking for a strategic business partner who does subcontracting work on the interiors, let me tell you about the CFP Group. They are a minority business enterprise and have been in business for over 20 years. If you're interested, you can contact them by email at cfpgroup1@gmail.com or call them directly at 410-977-8568. That's 410-977-8568. Take it from me. I've done business with them, and I know they can get the job done. Welcome back. So we've been through 7 of 10 steps I think are critical in the process of a successful commercial pursuit. Number 8, tracking your pursuits. I must admit, I am not and have not been the best at this. I always used to keep things in my head. I knew the clients' names. I could pull out a spreadsheet and do a new one each month. What a waste of time that was. I got involved with a CRM, which is a customer relationship manager. It's a software program that does many, many things. And all I'm going to say in this case, it will track your pursuits. Okay. And you can categorize them in stages. These are pending jobs. 1, lost. You can put all the client feedback in there. It's a great tool especially if you have a sales staff. If you have a sales staff, you got to have a CRM, right? Maybe it's Zoho or Salesforce. They're the big ones. You might not need that, one that robust. But again, a client or a customer relationship manager does so many things. Pick out what things are most important to you. To me, it's a client database for sure. It's email notifications, right? If you say I need to call the client back on March 12th at 2 p.m., it'll give you a heads up. Those type of things. Certainly, you're going to be able to sort by category, so you know how much is pending at any one time. You can make sure that your multiple GCs, if you bid 5 million to 5 different guys, it's not 25 million pending. It's 5 million pending. Okay. It's really, really good. It might take a little while for your team to engage in it, but once you do, you're never going to go back. So you want to track your pursuits in a meaningful way. Again, there's always a point of diminishing returns. And, if there's one thing that I do pay attention to, it's that I don't want information just to have it. I want useful information, and I will shape my CRM just the way I need it. So now we're on to step number 9, which is follow-up. Now you hear, if you listen to the radio, you'll hear these guys get on and say, 85% of salespeople never follow up and never ask for the job. And again, I don't know if that's right or not, but I can tell you this, the concept is right. I don't know if the numbers are right, but think about it. Lots of companies sell through their estimators, and their estimators are, head deep in the bid, and they don't have time to call and chat and everything else, right? But most times people don't ask for the bid. Hey, I'd like the award. Where are we? So when you follow up, I would urge that a business development person call the client to confirm receipt of the proposal, right? So, hey, you got it? Okay, when should I call you? How much time you need to go through this so we can start talking? Think about it. You don't want to bug the client. But if the client has the perception that you value his or her job, they're more apt to listen to you. If you blow it off and say, hey, call me whenever, or worse than that, don't ever call them, they're not going to think that you really care about the job. But seriously, how can you say you do if you never follow up, right? So, Get your business development person or you to reach out to the decision maker. Try and get an in-person, yes, it's COVID again, but people still, you can still socially distance and you can wear a mask and you can have an in-person bid review or scope review, which means you go to their office. Go to their office and sit down and go through it. You'll learn through the process. You'll reinforce the fact that the job matters to you, right? You'll understand if you are off or you need to adjust or whatever. And again, don't forget to ask for the job. I'll say that again. Don't forget to ask for the job. Now, once you've done a follow-up, and remember, we've done 9 things already, ask yourself the question, can you count on your estimators to do all these things? I think I know the answer. Number 10, upon award, and I didn't say award to you, I said upon award, regardless of the outcome, get a debrief, right? You want to learn. You put a lot of time into the job. If you get the job, awesome. Thank them, right? Whatever you do to show your gratitude, make sure they know they're a part of your success. Thank them for it and make sure you do what you say you're going to do, because then you'll be in line to get the next one. If you don't get the job, you still want to get a debrief. And a good way to say that is, look, Joe, Sally, hey, I didn't get the job. I appreciate the opportunity. I really do. I'm disappointed I didn't get it, but I'd love to know why. Do you have a half hour to sit down and talk to me so I can better be prepared for the next one? Now, isn't that a positive way to get through a bad job and to set yourself up for the next one? Remember, I said a successful pursuit does not always end up with an award. But a successful pursuit is always consistent with your brand. It never makes your client feel guilty. And if you think they used you, maybe give them one more try. And if it happens again, just stop, right? Deal with people you want to deal with, but you'll never know. If they choose not to give you a debrief, do they really care that you've spent thousands of dollars and hundreds of hours with your estimating group on the job? If they don't care, maybe you should reconsider. Remember, in step 1, right? One of the steps of the process when you're defining what a good opportunity is the client good? Do you have a relationship with the client? If they won't even give you a debrief after you lost a job, you need to reconsider that relationship. Okay, but whatever you do, continue building toward the next one. So I've just outlined 10 steps that I consider critical in a successful commercial pursuit process. I hope you enjoyed listening as much as I've enjoyed sharing. And between now and next week, stay safe and stay tuned. So if you have questions about starting, building, or selling your business or anything in between, contact me 2 ways. Go to my website, adicorp.com, that's adicorp.com, it's my last name spelled backwards, or visit me on LinkedIn, go to David Procida and leave your messages there. Visit us on our YouTube channel at Elevate the Industry. Check us out on Instagram at Elevate Industry. Subscribe so you don't miss any episodes. Either way, we'll talk next week, and between now and then, stay safe and stay tuned. All the music for the episodes, including our theme song Elevate, was provided by DMV producer Trey Skills. If you like what you heard, follow Trey Skills on Instagram at Trey Skills, TREYSKILLZ. That's TREYSKILLZ.
Elevate. Elevate. Elevate.